Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's move everything around. Sorry about the lighting. The sun's shining. It's quite bright out there today. Good morning. If you are watching, do please pop a hello in the comments as usual. And we will get this show on the road, as they say. Oh, I've just realised I've got the sticky label still on the camera. It was probably struggling with that. Yeah, the lighting is rubbish. Look at that. I'm half in shadow. Oh, look, I look like hell. Not look like hell, but HEL. Half and half dark, half light. That's quite weird. Good morning, Jane, as I waffle inanely to myself. Good morning, welcome to Friday. Yeah, autumn. It's making itself known, although the sun is shining today, and it was ridiculously hot yesterday. Mornings and evenings are lovely and crisp. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Kerry and Ebony from sunny Clonelly. Good morning, Emma. Yep, we're all good here, thank you. Our building work is done. Hurrah. The loft room was finished yesterday. So now all we've got to do is move all the stuff back and clean and sort, but it's done. And any building noises you can hear are outside. Houses across the street. There's lots of builders. I can see them here putting roof things on. But at least Eric's not barking at them anymore, so it's all good. All good. Good morning, Trudy. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Angela, from a very warm but autumnal Brittany. Yes, it's that pivotal point of the year, isn't it? We're kind of in between. Can't decide whether it's summer or autumn. See, I've got summer this side, autumn this side. Good morning, Susan from sunny Sussex. Yeah, it's nice to have it's clear blue skies actually. Although on that side of our house, on the other side of our house, the moon was there in the sky this morning when I woke up. It's always amazes me when you can see it in the daytime. Good morning, Lolly. Good morning, Xenia. Saw the video of your loft room. Yes, the loft is done. It looks fabulous. The amount of skill and craftsmanship is just amazing. We had a fantastic team building the loft room. They worked ridiculously hard, 8:30 till 4:35. No stops, no lunch breaks. Amazing. Stanislav, Leszek, and Ulrich. Dream team. Absolute dream team. Good morning from sunny northern Germany. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Yeah, the stairs are a bit weird. The stairs to the loft are a bit weird. Paddle steps, although I have since learned they're also called witches' steps. That's just perfect, really, isn't it? Good morning, Tony. Jane went to get the recycling boxes in, and a spider had built a web across the front gateway. Had to remove it. Yes, it is that time of the year, isn't it? I had to go more to my dad's greenhouse yesterday, and I'd forgotten all about. I wasn't really thinking about spider webs. I got totally covered walking through the garden. Angela, it was 27 degrees and a beautiful day yesterday. Probably the only non-rainy summer day we've had this year. Okay. It was very warm yesterday. The Kalech will be here soon enough. Soon enough. Xenia, no lunch breaks. Have you fed them coffee? Yeah, no lunch breaks. No. Yes, we fed them coffee, and when it was very warm, Coke and bowls of water. And of course, I made them cake and cookies. Because you do really, don't you? Good morning, Charlie. Oh, that's the kettle. In the hand. Yeah, anyway. So we're a bit chaotic and twirly here at the minute because lots going on.
Not noisy.
It's not as noisy. Lots going on with the house, lots going on with Kitchen Witch, lots going on with us, and yeah.
Where are you going next week?
The girls and I are going to Dartmoor. He's sulking because I'm leaving him behind. Yes, the girls and I are going on a bit of a jolly, more like a spiritual escape, really, to Dartmoor next week. Very much looking forward to that.
Rob juice.
I will have Rob juice, thank you. I'm going to have a cup of Rob juice. Would you like to pass me the bottle?
So you
can explain Rob juice. Good evening, Sephora. Fires on, spring weather is mental. Rob juice, yeah. Ness made elderberry Rob. So Pete's called it Rob juice. It's not even
that's her husband's
name.
Her
husband is called Rob, yeah. It is elderberry with cloves and wonderful things in it. And I have it with hot water and a bit of honey. It's delicious. Ness, I've had half the bottle already. Good morning, Denise. Has COVID? Oh, that's yuck. Hope you feel better soon. Good morning, Mark. Emma, cake and cookies should make the world go round. Yeah, absolutely. Xenia, have fun. Yes. Very much looking forward to. We're going fossil hunting on the way, and then we're going to Dartmoor, so it's all going to be lovely. Good morning, Susie. So, a bit of an Ask a Witch this week because I didn't come up with a theme because it was all too hectic and chaotic and too early. But I'm here. So, Xenia thought you were handing me wine. I don't like wine, and I don't like drinking wine. Don't like the taste of wine. No, it's elderberry Rob.
We asked the drunk witch.
Drunk witch, yeah. So Ask a Witch. So if you've got any questions about anything witchcraft related, pop them in the comments, and we'll throw them out to everyone and see where we go with it. Anything you can think of, anything you want to ask. I've got a couple of questions that were put in the Kitchen Witch group recently that I thought we could start off with, but stop it. Go back to work. He's just excited because he's got his own drum room now. Sephora, I make something similar but with elderberries, honey and apple cider vinegar. Oh, that sounds nice. Yep, great. It is. And it's got loads of vitamin C and stuff. It's very good for you. But it's lovely in hot water with honey. Rob's juice. Yes, it is. Rob juice. Elderberry. Can you see the label there? Elderberry Rob. Ness made that. It is too early. Yeah, definitely too early. Well. It has got. Yeah, that's the cloves. It's got cloves in it, but I love cloves. It's all good. It's all good.
You get cold with them,
so, yeah. Have to work. So yeah, I apologize for lighting this morning. Hopefully next week we'll all be set up properly because we'll all be organized and back into normal action, she says. Hopefully. Until we think of something else. So my first question today, and it was an interesting question that we had at one of the workshops we ran at the weekend. We met some very lovely people at Crystal Wicker at the weekend. And one lady asked whether we worked with angels, which is quite an interesting question. We had to say, myself, Ness and Heather, none of us do work with angels. I haven't ever really, personally. A vague recollection in my early Wiccan training of calling in the archangels at a group ritual, Guardians of the Watchtowers. Thank you. I won't have cake, but I have got nice plum cake that I made for the builders.
Yeah. Do you want some?
No, I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, so I did vague recollection that in a ritual or two, I might have called in archangels at the quarters, but I've never worked with them. I've never been called to work with them. They have never presented themselves to me, so I've never had any connection, really. I am very aware of their energies and that they are very ancient, that they predate Christianity. but never felt drawn to work with them. So it was an interesting question because I know some witches do work with angels. So that's the first question. Do you work with angels? If you do, in your witchcraft, if you do, how do you work with them? And anything relevant to that, really? Any thoughts, any insights to that? That's the first question. Let's have a look. Denise. Right, let's get some of these up. Denise, want to start infusing my own tea. Is fed up buying them, but where to start? Bit broad, but any recommendations? Experiment. Make sure, obviously, you've identified the herb properly, because some herbs that you forage look like others and some are toxic. So make sure they are, edible first. But then I think it's a case of experimenting. Fresh herbs are going to taste different to dried herbs, obviously, but start with flavors that you're familiar with. I like the spices. So I quite often make a normal black tea. So I'd have a normal black tea with your tea bag, and I'll put cloves and cinnamon and cardamom, bit of ginger, bit of honey in, make a chai tea. But if you're talking about leaves, then peppermint is a good one to start with. Lemon balm. Things like rose petals work, but they don't taste very strong. Dried apple, dried orange peel, that all works quite well. I would say experiment, see what blends work for you. If it's not very sweet, and most of them aren't, add a bit of honey because that always helps. But start with flavors and herbs and spices that you are familiar with would be my first recommendation. Things like mint and the spices, because they've got quite strong flavors. But if anybody else has got any recommendations, do pop them in the comments. Cloves, anti-gossip. Yes, would be, wouldn't it? I'm just working a bit of anti-gossip magic. Smells nice. Oh, that's lovely. Xenia, I do work with angels. Okay, cool. If you don't mind, Xenia, how do you work with them? How did you feel called to work with them? Right, Angela, yes, you did mention this before. If anyone is interested, Angela has a shop in Romsey that's up for rent. It would make a fabulous witchy shop. So Romsey in Hampshire, if anybody's up for that, do contact Angela. Kerry, I work with the archangels and use oracle cards with them. Okay. It seems to be archangels. Does seem to be archangels. Emma, I used to have an angel oracle card, but found that I really couldn't connect. The cards were interesting, but the connection just wasn't there. Yeah, I've not. There's no right or wrong answer here. It was an interesting question. It was an interesting question. Ruth, good morning, Ruth. Angel related. Hubby tried a few times to work with archangels, and it really upset the goddess he works with. Yeah, yes. So that's a hard no for our house. I'm with you guys. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably been my issue, because I've such a strong connection with the goddess. And because I work with feisty goddesses. They don't like other deities, let alone angels. Xenia, angels are very popular in German New Age. That's how I found them. Okay. Also, in several witchcraft books, they were somehow influenced by American witchcraft, using angels and saints, glass, candles, hoodoo stuff. Also working with ceremonial magic, grimoires, and the Kabbalah. Yes, and the Kabbalah's got a connection to the archangels. I think probably the first time I came across them was in American Wiccan books, and that was the archangels. So I don't know whether they are more connected to the American type of Wicca than they are perhaps to the British side of it. I don't know. Obviously, in religions such as Santeria, they work with saints a lot, so there is that kind of connection as well. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting question. Jane, in my early witching days when I was casting circles every opportunity, I used to invoke Raphael in the east, Michael in the south, Gabriel in the west, Uriel in the north. Yes, the archangels, they are represented by the 4 elements. So that's how I worked with them. They were called in for the quarters. I was still a practicing Catholic then, so I felt comfortable with angels. I use angel oracle cards now and again. I think that's interesting, isn't it? Because they are, perhaps when you hear the word angel, you go straight to Christianity, but actually they are much older than that. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Tony, I've worked with angels via Aurosoma angel color bottles. Okay, I have seen those and used them for some blessings, but more and more rare that I do now. It is an interesting one. Susie, high magic and grimoire work usually includes angelic realms. Yeah, I think a lot of the more ceremonial stuff calls with the archangels, doesn't it? That seems to be it. This is Charlie. Any advice for when you have a lot of decisions to make at the same time, moving to a new area or stay put? New career at the same time. Tried quiet time meditation, not working, feeling confused. Do you work with any divination forms? Tarot, oracle cards, scrying, anything that can give you some direction. So divination would be my go-to first to get some clarity, or you can work a spell for direction or clarity, actually, or both together. Yeah, seek divination would be my first port of call, and a spell to find direction, unless anyone has any other ideas. David, as a younger witch, I felt more anarchistic and dark, so snorted at the idea, yeah. But when faced with an angel and that love oozing from them just made it feel more like trying to be mean to a puppy. It's funny, isn't it? I think when you get the idea of angels, you do think love and light and glowing and all of the good stuff. But if you go back to the early stories of angels, there was quite a lot of, fire and brimstone stuff going on there too. It's interesting. It is all interesting. Emma, it was before the Morrigan came to me. I don't think she'd been happy either. Yeah, Morrigan and angels. But, some people make it work. Some people make it work. Xenia, also in a shamanic training in which we had to meet a guide, we would call to in deep need and emergency. An angel presented itself to me and I worked with them since. Didn't call for an angel. The spirit decides who comes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I have a spirit guide for when I do my spirit work. I have an animal spirit guide when I do my hedge riding, when I go into the other worlds. But when I do Avalonian type spirit work, when I do mediumship type spirit work, I have a human spirit guide, but still never come into contact with angels, even doing that, which is quite interesting too. David, don't work with them, but I know my partner's best friend does. Yeah, I mean, there's no, right or wrong here. It's just personal experience. I'm just it was an interesting question, and I think it is a question that I get asked quite regularly, actually. So I'm just interested to know what everyone thinks. Zephora, what monthly rituals do you stick to methodically? I'm a bit rubbish at all of that. I do acknowledge the Sabbats. I don't necessarily do huge amounts to celebrate, but I do acknowledge them. What I do prefer to do is work with the energy of the day. So there's nothing rigid about it. I check in with the energy of each day and then take from my inspiration from that. So there's nothing probably that I do methodically. It is about connection for me and connecting to the energy of the day, the energy of the time of year, really, particularly because I love gardening. So I'm very connected to my garden. So I feel the turning of the wheel. I feel the changing of the seasons, the changing in the air. Each day I connect with that energy. So actually, that's probably my regular ritual, is to connect with the energy of the day. Go outside, breathe in the air, see what's happening, connect with the energy of it. That's probably the thing that I do most regularly, is that connection. I wish I had more time to do all sorts of things, but yeah, that's probably the thing I do regularly. Jane, I have to keep reminding myself that my guardian angel has been with me since first being assigned to the soul I've inherited through many lives. I see him, her as a vague outline of golden streaks when calling my guides for working with spirit. Okay. There's that guardian angel kind of phrase, isn't there? I don't have a guardian angel. I have guardians. They aren't angels. I have guides. My guardian really is the goddess. But yeah, it is absolutely what works for you. Absolutely. Susie, angels in the older traditions are not the shining, fluffy pink things that are termed angels in the new age. No, they are exacting, demanding, and can be terrifying. Yeah, they are quite a different breed of things, aren't they? Xenia, there are also fallen angels. Yes, absolutely. Lucifer. Yep. Charlie, I work with angels. I tend to do this with healing. I call in angels, deities, ancestors, and others, what I feel drawn to, so it doesn't seem to clash so far. Yeah, I think it's got to work for you too, hasn't it? I mean, we're very much, my pathway is about doing whatever works for you. And yeah, absolutely. Angela, don't work with angels myself. Feel like they keep their distance in view of the goddesses that I work with. I wonder if that is, yeah, I feel that. And as Ruth said earlier, that seems to be a lot of the case. No one has said not to, as in the deities I work with, but it feels implied. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that one. Charlie, thanks for divination. Yeah, divination, if you are looking for direction or answers or clarity, divination is definitely my go-to. What would be a simple spell to do? Feel like a cartoon. I've been hit on the head and have lots of stars going on my head. I know how you feel, Charlie. I do know how you feel. I would go with a simple candle spell. Literally light a candle and see where it takes you. Focus on the flame. You can add in things that you feel would bring you clarity, direction. Herbs wise, I would go with anything that has that kind of clearing, cleansing scent. Fennel, mint, cloves, star anise, anything that's going to clear out the fog and give you some kind of clarity. For symbols, you could, if you've got a compass, you could set the compass in front of the candle because that gives you direction. Go with your intuition, your instinct on this. I would probably work with a white candle because that's a blank canvas, and put some words together and go for it. Jane, why did I think of David Tennant straight away? The weeping angels. Scary things. Absolutely scary things. Yeah, definitely frightening things. Although I think that was Matt Smith too, wasn't it? Yeah, weeping angels. Don't want to come into contact with them. But is that a bit like the idea of mermaids? The whole Disney idea of mermaids being lovely, just sitting there brushing their hair and being helpful, and when they're not at all. Is that perhaps that we've got a bit of a tainted view of angels like we did of mermaids? I don't know. They do, yeah, they do help and support as far as I'm aware, but it's individual, it's personal, isn't it? Emma, find it strange that I felt so connected to a guardian angel, and then as I traveled my path, I realized or felt that my guardian angel was my grandma I never knew in life from the spirit world. Yeah, it happens, Emma. Absolutely happens. Xenia. Also, the lesser banishing pentagram ritual is like conjuring a protective circle with the 4 archangels. That's pretty much where I came into contact with the archangels, was doing the ceremonial Wiccan rituals in my training early on. Yeah, they are used for that. Good morning, Angela. 1st of December, all looking good. Yay. Can I tell them? Can I tell them? Hedge Witch book is on the horizon for release. Woohoo! You heard it here first. Watch this space for more information. Janet, sometimes last week, a beautiful gold and blue orb floated past my feet while I was in the kitchen. What could this be? What do you think it is? Or what do you think it was? I think there are lots of things that we don't understand. I think there are lots of things that present themselves in a way to us so that only we can understand them. It's a bit like deity. So if the goddess presents herself to you, how does she present herself to you? In a way that you will recognize, in an outfit that you will recognize, in, I think that's probably why they appear slightly differently to different people, because they're going to appear to you in a way that you recognize. This orbs could be dust, could be light and dust. You got to include the mundane stuff as well, because not everything is a message. Not everything is sent from spirit world. Not everything is from the other world. It could be dust and the light with the sunshine. I expect we've got quite a lot of them in here at the minute. It could be the fairy world. It could be angelic realms. It could be the divine. It could be the spirit world. It's what do you think it was? I know that doesn't answer your question, but it is a personal thing, I think. Yes. Yeah. So, Hedge Witch book, Hedge Witch and the Art of Hedge Riding, to be released at the beginning of December, published by Phoenix Flames Publishing. More details to follow soon. Very excited. I'm just going to let the dog out. There's a cat in the garden. He's running completely the wrong direction, but there's a cat out there. Anyway. Right. Zephora, any recommendations on ways to find, strengthen psychic abilities? Pre-children much better, then life got in the way and much dampened. It happens. And I think particularly psychic abilities, connection with the spirit world, connection with your psychic talents needs to be practiced. I think practice does make perfect in this case. When I was reading tarot every week, no problems. Then I stopped for a while and I was so rusty. It took me a while to get back into it. So I think with those type of abilities, it is about getting on and doing it and practicing with it. So that really helps. You can drink herbal teas that will heighten your psychic abilities. In actual fact, your normal cup of dog and cat. Now he's barking at the builders across the road. A cup of your black tea leaves. They are really useful for boosting your psychic abilities, as are a lot of the spices like cinnamon. So you could drink a cup of tea with a pinch of cinnamon in it. That would help. I have a special candle that I've dressed and dedicated purely for psychic abilities. I've got a nice pillar candle, dressed it with essential oils and herbs, and dedicated it to strengthening my psychic abilities. So whenever I do a reading or work with scrying or anything that involves that psychic connection, I light the candle first, because it's kind of a switch for switching you into it. Practice candles. You might have a piece of jewelry or a crystal that can help enhance your psychic abilities. I would say something like selenite is very good for connecting with the divine. I'm going to shut the door because it's noisy out there. Fluorite is another one that I associate with psychic abilities too. It's what works for you, but I would say practicing, working with it, working with it, working with it. It will help strengthen your abilities. Janet, loved one that has passed. There you go. You got your answer. It is how you feel. I think that goes with any kind of experience, whether it's with the divine or orbs or anything really. You'll know whether it is the spirit world or the divine or fairy. Trust your intuition on it. David, cool. New books to get. Yes. December for Hedge Witch. There will be a hoard as well. We are working on the Hedge Witch hoard box at the moment. If you ordered a Sulis hoard box, they are being posted out today. Jane, I have more than one angel. Decades ago, I did a meet your angel ritual and found his name was Frank. Good name. But since then, my nan has stepped in as another one. I also have a gatekeeper called Rothnor, a guide from a past life called Harry, and a druid guide called Merlin. They're a motley crew who are happy to be together. I wonder what would happen if I started working with deities. Now, angels, I guess it means defining the word angel, because I would see those as spirit guides, not angels. But I guess that's another question. You obviously see them as angels, but there's no right or wrong here. To me, an angel is like the archangels, I suppose. The others are spirit guides to me, but are they one and the same? Another question. More questions. Good morning, Lee. I've worked with angels in the last year, worked more with angels in the last year than gods and goddesses, but they're still around. Room for all, I say. Oh, yeah, people make it work. People make it work. Love the candle idea. I do. I've always had a pillar candle for divination work and psychic work dedicated for that specific purpose. Sephora, who's taking the Kate Bush CD to the moors for a good session of witchy dancing. See, I love Kate Bush, do love Kate Bush, but for me, the moors are more Sherlock Holmes. That's where my heart lies. I shall be seeking the Hound of the Baskervilles. Jane suggests joining a psychic development circle. Be a great help if you can find one. The combined energy of the group and the room they're in can sweep you up and get you fired up. I think if you are looking for spirit world connection, then that works really well. If you're looking to just improve your tarot reading or your room reading skills, then I think that's a different thing. But yes, I have been part of mediumship training groups and spirit guide training groups, and if that's the route you want to go, very, very helpful. Yeah, definitely very helpful. Charlie, missed the past few weeks and love being here. Love this cosmic gathering. Oh, I like that description via the internet. Wisdom, laughs, cake, you're all fab. Sending you all lots of blessings, blizzards, and cake. Oh, right back at you, Charlie. Right back at you. Yeah, it's the community that we have built here. And I say we, I'm just the gobby one. The community is part of all of you guys. I'd just be talking to myself otherwise. And I learned so much. Brilliant idea. Lucky to have a number of options in my local but yet to try one. If you are looking for a local group for spirit connection teaching group, try and get recommendations. Make sure that they are legit. But yes, very, very useful. Very useful. Good morning, Jackie. Just waking up a bit groggy, but nice autumnal vibes. Yeah, it's on its way, isn't it? It's on its way. Xenia, I also have several spirits, angels, deities, power animals, other spirits I work with. They're all fine with each other. Yeah, I guess I don't work with angels, as I say, but plenty of deities, plenty of spirit animal guides. My main spirit guide. Yeah, it's a big old party. Big old, all having fun up there. Susie, I think we have to find our own relationship and beliefs about angels, as we're in danger of confusing Christian law with pagan law. I think that goes for a lot of stuff, though, doesn't it? It does go for a lot of stuff. It's a bit like prayer, which we probably all go straight to the Christian idea of prayer, but actually pagans pray all the time. When you talk to deity, when you talk to the moon, when you cast a spell, you're kind of praying. That word has connotations, the same as angels do as well, I think. All of our journeys are personal, and we have to make them work for us. Janet, I'm going to get into trouble now going from books to boxes. Hold on to your hats, because there's going to be a lot more hoard boxes coming your way. Oh, I can make bespoke incense. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Definitely. Sephora, now like that down under. No spirit groups. No. The words are escaping me this morning. Oh, psychic medium type groups. Interesting, as when in a room with psychics, they will not read me. That's interesting too. Got your protections up there. Mark, talk to myself all the time. Oh, I do. I do. Yes, the moors are Wuthering Heights. They are. The one that we're going to is the setting for Hound of the Baskervilles, and I'm such a big Sherlock Holmes fan that Heathcliff will have to step aside because Sherlock's there. Emma, poor Bessie's getting overwhelmed by the spirits making themselves welcome. Need to work out who's who and who can bugger off. Plus the constant ring doorbell going off. Nightmare. Bessie's the dog, just in case anybody wondered. Animals pick up on spirits. They do pick up on spirits. Yeah, remember that whenever you're dealing with the spirit world, remember you are in control. You are absolutely in control. They're going to have to work around you. Claire, Grandmother Winds of the Earth YouTube channel has a psychic development course playlist. Nice. Obviously, for any students of the Kitchen Witch School, we have a psychic development branch course. So hop on that if you're interested. Xenia, question. I'm struggling with the balance of psychic openness, enhanced senses on the one hand and protection on the other hand. Often when I perceive too much, like the energy of people or place, I feel overwhelmed and my energy goes away. Energy flows where attention goes. Any suggestions how I can better manage keeping my energy to myself? I think this is the balance, isn't it, between opening yourself up to all of those energies and shielding. Shielding lets in, with practice, shielding lets in the good stuff, keeps out the bad stuff. So it's about working with that balance. I think it takes practice, and I think it will depend on the place that you're in as well. Some places have such a strong energy that it can be completely overwhelming. It's about working and getting to know your own shield so that you can adjust it to let the good stuff in, to not be overwhelmed. That takes a bit of practice. So I would say practice working with your shielding. But if you want more psychic development, say that you are a student, Xenia, aren't you? So have a look at the psychic development branch class as well. But we also have one of the first lessons is on shielding too. So I think that sounds like practicing more with your shield to adapt it to the situations and to make it work for you would be my advice. Good morning, Humphrey. Hope you're well. Sephora, what are you going to do if something house in the night? Well, I'll be sharing a room with Ness, so We were sharing a room once in Glastonbury, and a big old spider fell on my bed, and I threw it on the floor and woke Ness up. So I'll be fine. And we've got Heather with us. Yeah, it's all fine. Sephora says, Xenia, look at solar activity. You may find a link to energy fluctuations. It's all affected. If you are connected, if you are tapped into that main energy source, there are going to be other things that affect it. The moon phases, the solar phases, whatever's going on with the planets. But I would say for you to stop being overwhelmed, regulate your shielding, work with the shielding. Would be the first point of call. Denise, my dog, no longer with us, used to just stare at one place on the wall. I could never see anything, but often wondered whether he could because his whole aura changed. Sometimes he would wag his tail. I guess I'll never know, but I always believed someone was visiting. They do. Animals do pick up on things. I think cats and dogs in particular do sense things in the home. Children, when they're younger, will pick up on things too. Our daughter used to see a figure in the house quite often when she was young. She would actually just say, oh, there's a man standing in the doorway. It was my grandfather, but she didn't know that. And she would pick up on it quite often. So I think, yeah, pets and young children, very perceptive to the spirit world. Thank you, Humphrey. Yes, all good here. Chaotic and twirly as usual, but all good. Janet, is there a chant or crystal that I can use when out in large crowds? Shield, shield, shield. Red alert, shields up. Whenever I'm out in large crowds, the first thing I do is bring my shield up. There is a blog post on, I think it's called Shields Up, something like that, hints and tips for shielding. There is a blog post on shielding, so do have a look. Shield is your best friend when it comes to overwhelming energies or large crowds. And with practice, it will come in very, very quickly. You can also use crystals. You can use a crystal to as a kind of key to switch on your shield if you prefer to do it that way. Or you can carry it so that the crystal provides your shield energy. I would say most of the black ones, black tourmaline, black obsidian, jet even, anything that's got that protective hematite, anything that's got that protective kind of feel to it. But again, it's personal, so you might find something else works for you. But you can carry that with you, or you can wear it as a piece of jewelry and just tap it or hold it when you want your shielding to come into place. But you can work with shielding just purely with visualization as well. So there is a blog post on that. David, you could make a talisman to help with shielding. Yes, literally just a crystal tumblestone or a piece of jewelry, and you program it to be your shield. Switch it on, shield comes in, protection, done. Jane, currently working through the psychic development branch class as part of my kitchen witch course. I'm having to do the exercises over and over to get into them at home. Every time I try to get on with it, Colleen, my cat, will just plonk herself in the middle. They do. Cats in particular like to interfere with any magical spiritual workings. It's why they tend to push stuff off of altars as well. They like to get involved. Charlie, are Sununos and Hearn related? I see them as separate beings and they feel different, but reading online feeling confused. Any good books? Yeah, separate. Sununos is the horned god, and he probably has different names in different cultures, in different areas. Hearn the hunter is specific to one forest in England, and he's kind of come from a myth and a legend, really, that's related to that one particular place. So do investigate him separately. Yeah, for me, definitely separate. They're both nature, forest, animal protection type gods, but yes, definitely separate. I'm just trying to think if anybody's written a book on them that I know of. I can't think of any. If anyone's got any recommendations, Pop them in the comments. Oh, there's the link to the shielding blog. Thank you very much. Yeah, definitely separate, I would say. But yeah, look at Herne is very much related to just the one forest. So Nunos is kind of an overall horned god for all forests and animal protector. I'll have a think about books, and if anyone's got them, do pop the note in the comments. David, shielding is fun. Change the shape, color, texture, see what happens. Walk into a crowd and make a red spiky shield and see a big circle appear around you. Great for getting to the bar. It is. And I think shielding, again, is another thing that is very personal. It might be that you work with the bubble. It might be that you work with different colors in the bubble in different situations. You might prefer to put on your cloak, shielding cloak, think Harry Potter and his cloak of invisibility. You might prefer to see yourself in armor or with a great big shield. There's various different ways of working with shielding, but you can absolutely personalize it. Angela, throwing a protective circle is second nature to Peter when we go out, so much so that people join the queue in the shops behind us and then change their mind and go to another one. Excellent. He doesn't even know he's doing it. So I'm glad I'm allowed through. It does. I think particularly with the shielding, once you're well practiced with it, it will automatically come on without you even thinking too much about it. I am a Star Trek fan, obviously. So my shield is Will Riker saying, "Red alert, shields up." And then I hear the doors of the Enterprise going shh as the shield comes into place. So it has to be personal to you and work for you. Yes, thank you, David. Yes, I had forgotten about that one. I knew there was some good ones out there. The Horned God of the Witches by Jason Mankey. Yes, very, very good book. Definitely. Xenia, I'm experimenting with several brass discs, mirrors, or black crystals, and they help here and there, better or less. Brass better than mirror, silver, onyx, and obsidian better than black tourmaline or hematite. And also Angela's bitch. Oh, Phoenix Flames Bitch Be Gone spray is the bomb. It is the dog's what's its. It's amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got to work for you. So crystals obviously are very personal. They each have their own energies and their different personalities. So it's about doing what works for you. Go for it, Stephanie. So here's a question. Yeah, go for it. Sephora, my favorite shield is resting bitch face works a treat. Yeah, you got to give the granny weatherwax stare and then you're sorted. Jane, I've splashed out one of those cameras that sees people, animals, and spirit in stickman form. Haven't tried it yet, but I would love to see what Sandra, my other cat, sees when she's watching something move across the ceiling at night. Both my cats stare at an invisible being behind the sofa, and the late Trevor did the same. They see things. They see things that we don't. Stephanie, I can sense energy and see it as entities or static or shadow figure or like heat wave coming off the pavement or like a bubble. How can you tell that the bubble is there but still see through it? Do you mean in your shield? Stephanie, I can hear like how when people are outside your home and can't make out everything is said. It's about connection. You're picking up on the energy forms. Everything has energy. Everything. Everything has, for want of a better word, aura. I don't like using that word because it doesn't really describe what it is, but everything has an energy field. What you're doing is picking up on it. You just need to hone it, practice it with it, work with it, adapt it, use visualization to change. It is about control. How can I control how to tap into this when I want? That would be psychic development training. Do a little bit of training. Matt Oren has a very good book, The Psychic Witch, which will probably help you on that. But it's about honing your skills and practicing your skills. What you're doing is what most witches do. You are connecting with the energy. You are picking up on the energy fields. You're not weird. I promise. It is a very normal thing for witches to do. We can see energies, we can feel energies, we can tap into them. What you need to do is work out a way that you can control it. like switching things on and off, really. And shielding will probably come into that quite effectively too, because you can protect yourself against those energies as well, and switch things off. So I would say psychic development training, honing would absolutely help with that. But it's not unusual. We see and feel and hear, and all of the senses work with picking up on energy. Humphrey says golden tiger's eye is an excellent crystal to help protect against chaotic energy. Excellent, thank you. Very, very useful crystal. Golden tiger's eye, very protective, very good for strength, courage. It has really embodies the energy of tiger, so it's brilliant to work with. Yeah, I think all of this is about making things work for you. I think it's all about, if you're working with crystals, don't just go by what I say or what a book says or the internet says. Investigate for yourself and see what works for you. But absolutely, whenever you are working with energy of any kind and you want to control it or limit it or increase it, work on your psychic ability skills, but definitely work on your shielding, honing, training. Stephanie, done it all my life and really would like to be able to hear fully what they're saying and see clearly. It is literally about honing your psychic abilities, Stephanie. It's training yourself to work with it properly, to hone it, to be able to switch it off. I did a lot of spirit work. I did a lot of spirit mediumship training, and I loved it. But the first time I opened up, I was so overwhelmed. It was like having it was like 400 televisions all being switched on at the same time. It was incredibly overwhelming. Thankfully, I was in a group and I had the teacher there with me. So it is about learning to get everyone to stand in a queue and come through one at a time. It's practice. It's training, it's learning how to work with those skills. The same thing about picking up with energies. When I'm sitting looking out the garden, it's not a big garden, but there are lots of plants in there. Each plant has its own energy field. Each plant has its own voice. Each bird that's in the garden has an energy field. The mice that live in the corner of the garden have energy fields, and that's a lot of noise if you let it come in all at once. So it is about honing and training your skills so that you can shut it off if you need to and just pick out that one thread. Training, practice, working with it is the way to go. Jane, last night in Circle, one of the chaps was having a past life regression while the rest of us watched. Afterwards, we found that we'd picked up different other stuff that was buzzing around, almost as if we were there with the chap called Michael, whose life was being recalled. I think it's interesting to work with spirit. You do need training. You do need to know what you're doing. Interesting, the crossover of energies, though. We ran a workshop at the weekend. And there were a group of people all sitting, not squished up together, but, fairly close to each other. And we were doing divination. We were creating lithomancy sets. So each person was trying to pick up on the energies of each piece of their lithomancy set. But there were overlaps. Because you're in a small room with people sitting fairly close to each other, your energies are going to overlap. And connections are going to be made between all those people because that's how energy works. So it's about honing it and being able to pick out that one thread. Emma, I need to hone my senses again. I used to be able to see through people's animals I was connected to eyes and feel how they feel. Okay. I halted when I found my late uncle's illness, couldn't deal with all. Oh, yeah. That's absolutely understandable. Absolutely understandable. Need to relearn something I could do from childhood. I think we're back to that idea that children and animals pick up on stuff, don't they? Because they have no preconceptions. Because they don't have all of that. They've not been bombarded with all of that stuff that says, don't do this, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. We're open to it. So a big part, I think, of psychic training is being aware of stuff that you probably used to be able to pick up as a child, but as you got older, the outside world kind of squished it. If that makes sense. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to do. Once you do start opening yourself up to the energies that are out there, it is very wise to learn shielding first. You need to be able to control that, and shielding, I think, is the big key to it, because you need to be able to switch it off. Particularly, I think, if you are working with the spirit world, you don't want them to be talking to you at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's I don't sleep well at the moment anyway because of the menopause. I don't need spirit world waking me up as well. So you need to be able to switch it off, which is training experience, working with your skills, the same as improving your psychic abilities. It's practice. It's working with it. Angela, my childhood home was nicknamed Mustn't Don't Mention. It's a skill, and any skill needs practice and working with to hone it. So what interesting, all interesting. One very last quick question as well. We are very, very close to the spring equinox. Very simple ways to celebrate the spring equinox. We do have some previous rituals and meditations on the Kitchen Witch blog and on the Kitchen Witch YouTube channel if you want to have a look, if you just want to run through some of the rituals or the meditations there. Very, very simple. I think is connecting with, wrong connection again, connecting with the energy that's out there. You can, particularly first thing in the morning, last thing at night, you can feel that autumnal energy in the air. Keep an eye out for the first leaves that are turning as well. Collect some of those, put them on your altar. I noticed conkers yesterday when we walked into town. The conkers are all ripening all over the road. So collect some of those as well to put on your altar. It's about noticing the turning of the wheel, I think, particularly with the autumn equinox, because you are at that tipping point. So yeah, just noticing that energy, I think, and bathing in it, really, just soaking up that autumn energy that's just on the horizon there. Charlie, thank you so much. Horn Gods the Witch is ordering now. He writes very good books. I'm trying to think. I think I've seen one on Herne somewhere as well. Do look up the myth of Herne, because it is very much related to one place. It's interesting. Charlie, embarrassed it is. Ask a Witch chat. I'm decluttering and have a really big block. I get panicky, teary, and get a big square of block come up, and it hurts in my heart, and I can't do it. Decluttering is difficult. I've had to do it a lot in the last few weeks to clear out the loft and get rid of stuff from my childhood, from my teen years, you're letting go of stuff, isn't it? But then I think as well, crying is a way of releasing. It's difficult. It is difficult. You have to let go of stuff. Or do you have to? Why are you decluttering? Why not keep it all? I don't know. It's good to have a declutter. But there'll be an underlying reason for it, I think. See if you can find out what that blockage is, what it is that's stopping you from letting the stuff go. But it happens. It does happen to us all. Letting go of things that you've kept for reasons is emotional. It is emotional. I feel the autumnal energy. To be honest, this year it's Halloween season for me already. It's the season of the witch, isn't it? It is about to start. David, at this equinox, I plan to just meditate on balance, time to slow down. Yeah, it's that time of the year, isn't it? If you can't let go of stuff, take photos of it and put it in a journal. Then you've sort of still got it. Excellent idea. Very Very good idea, Jane. Brilliant. Charlie, never be embarrassed about crying and letting go. No, that's all part of the process. It's releasing, isn't it? It is releasing and letting go. It is another way of cleansing. Yeah, absolutely. So, fascinatingly interesting chat. Let's just get Charlie in here. It's not sentimental items, more clothing. I've decluttered in the past fine. I feel unsafe and I can't do it and feel very teary, feeling very stuck. And ironically, I can't do it, confused. The question is, do you have to do it right now? Maybe it's not the right time for you to do it. Maybe that hormones come into it. I mean, I went through a lot of this with the menopause and the perimenopause, which lasts for quite a long time. Everything made me feel like that. And it was really difficult. So maybe your hormones from a medical point of view are coming into play as well. Again, don't always look at the magical stuff. Sometimes there is a mundane reason for it too. Can you meditate? Can you deep dive to find out what it is that is making you stick? Definitely some inner work, I think. But yeah, actually, Amanda said the same thing. I was just thinking, don't do it all at once. Baby steps. Do it bit by bit. Yeah. Do it at your own pace. Absolutely. But see if you can deep dive and find out why. Late to the party, been to a concert of Helen. Oh, fabulous. They had branches all around and I had to collect a branch, which I did. I have loads of items I'm hoarding and have meanings. We do. We hold on to stuff. We do hold on to stuff. I've had bags of clothes that I'll get back into those one soon. At some point, I never do. Decluttering, unblocking in the house in order to improve the energy and a knock-on effect. It has. It's change. Changes are transitions are quite difficult sometimes. So do a deep dive and find out what it is that's blocking you, but also take your time with it. Do it baby steps, little by little. Things are always easier in tiny chunks rather than in one great big fell swoop. So that's it for today. I'm going to go now and do cleaning and sorting and clearing and trying to put the house back together. But yes, you're right. It can be liberating to do that as well. So yeah. But yes, have a fantastic autumn equinox, everyone. Have a fabulous week. Look out for photos from myself and the girls from the moors. And I will see you all again next week. Take care, everyone.